So
Okay.
having a successful crowdfunding campaign is not something that's easy. Like every single one I've seen on Kickstarter ships late or just ends up never shipping at all. Can you share a little bit about your experience going through crowdfunding and how it set up your company up?
Of course, yeah. So again, there's a lot of luck there and a lot of working with others and knowing other people. So Dima was outbid, and he said, "Okay, let's do something. But we need capital. We need startup money. What are we going to do?" And that was kind of the heyday of crowdfunding and Indiegogo. And so it was again knowing the right people. I happened to know I was in Israel at the time. I was living in Israel, and I happened to know someone who previously ran a successful crowdfunding campaign. So I was able to reach out. Hey, what did you do? What worked for you? And he really showed. It was me and Yara, my wife. We were doing this together, um, and um, and he showed us what he did, like kind of really a playbook of what worked well for him. He introduced us to someone specifically at Indiegogo to work together, and and then okay, there was the video. How am I going to make a crowdfunding video? So lucky enough, I had a filmmaker friend, very talented filmmaker. So she set us up with a location and a shoot and makeup and like the whole teleprompter, like everything. Obviously it cost, but it was a very good price because again, she's a friend, she's a good friend. um, and then we were able to launch, and we really did it by the book. Meaning, the most important time in a campaign, at the time at least, was the first 48 hours. If you're able to get good traction in the first 48 hours, then Indiegogo puts you on the newsletter. That's a big thing. They have a big newsletter. In order to do that, we needed to get like a pre-order list or an interest list, and we did that. I set up the landing page and all that. We launched. We got the big spike, and then somebody emailed Indiegogo. I told this story in another podcast. Somebody emailed Indiegogo, I don't know who to this day, and said, "Oh, these guys are scammers. Like Indiegogo, you're enabling a scam here. Like this guy cannot deliver the keyboard. This is not going to happen." And Indiegogo stopped everything, which was interesting because I had already been connected with them on a personal level. Like we had multiple calls. They knew me, and no, like it must have triggered something, and they stopped. They froze our money, and and then we had to have calls with them actually. So again, this is Dima, my partner. We had to have a call with them. It was Skype at the time. This is in the days before Zoom, I think. It was a Skype call. And no, like this is a real person. Look, Tibo is a real company. And he spoke and I spoke and we kind of advocated. And then they said, okay, yeah, we're going to let you continue. And then we continued. Then a few days later, suddenly the Ergodox Infinity launched by people again who were much better known than I was. I was not known at all, right? I'm just a guy wanting to make a keyboard. And we started getting these emails. Oh my gosh, like there's another Ergodox that's launching. It's much better than yours. Uh, and it came from like, from the right people and so on. And people started wanting to cancel orders. So, okay, of course, we canceled orders and all that, but we kind of kept going and we made it in the end. And we made it. We made our $80,000 goal in 2 months, which was what we needed. It's not a huge amount of money these days, but it is really what we needed. Which again comes to the relationship with Tibo because the prices were not inflated. Like they were very clear about what is actually needed from them to make this, to have a good start. Um, and then, yeah, so we started the campaign, if I'm not mistaken, around March. We ended the campaign around May. Although, if you go to the Indiegogo crowdfunding page now, it's still up. It will show a much higher number. This is just Indiegogo padding the numbers because after the campaign ended, they allowed people to continue buying. So really, what we did, like in the crowd, like in the campaign itself, it was $80,000. But then we kept selling through Indiegogo, and that's the higher number you see there. That took longer to get to. And then December came, and we shipped when we said we would, which is again having the right partner because Tibo really overcame a lot there, and they were able to do what they said they would do, and the keyword shipped. And the Ergodox Infinity did not. But that's a story for another time.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There's an interesting segue here. So I guess we should also like clarify. So the Ergodox is a split mechanical keyboard. So it's got a left side and a right side connected by a cord. It's like great for ergonomics. But Ergodox originally was an open source design. The schematics were online. You could buy the components yourself, and if you could solder and like 3D print stuff, you could like make one yourself, or maybe buy a kit. A lot of the mechanical keyboard world kind of like works in this way for like very like custom specialized stuff. It's like you buy a kit. If people have heard like of a Corn keyboard or something like that, there's a lot of different models out here. But at the time you were doing this, there was like none that you could just like buy off the shelf. This is a really good design. So y'all took on that work. Do you think the people who were like, oh, emailing Indiegogo saying, oh, this is a scam, do you think that they were like being very reactionary to someone making a commercial version of the open source thing, or do you think they were just like trying to put you off, or like, do you have any like thoughts on like what the motivations were really?
Yeah. This is actually an interesting story about reframing and perspective. For the longest time, I had a bit of a chip on my shoulder about that because it nearly tanked us. It was a very vulnerable time for us, and it was very touch and go for a while there. And I went around feeling as though I have been wronged. And then a few years later, I was at Computex in Taipei, and I met Jesse from Keyboard.io. Very nice guy, lovely company, and we sat down and we had a drink and kind of talked about well, keyboards, obviously. And this subject came up, and Jesse is much more embedded in the community than I am, and I think he has been for some time, even back then, like even when we first launched. And he, of course, knew the story, but he knew it from the other side. And it kind of came up in conversation. I said, "Yeah, those people thought we were scammers, and they reported us, and la la la." And just suddenly says, "Wait, no, actually, you're the asshole. You were the asshole." And I'm like, "Me? Why? Why am like what?" And he said, "Yeah, those people have been working on the Ergodox Infinity for years before then, and suddenly you come from out of nowhere and completely like beat their timeline and go like, 'Hey, I'm here. Here's an Ergodox. You can buy it now. Here's the thing.'" And like, who are you even? What kind of you don't check, you don't, which is true. I had no idea the Infinity was there. I did go around like keyboard forums at the time, but I had no idea there was anybody working on this. There was anybody trying to commercialize. As far as I knew, there was nothing. It was just like, okay, let's do this. I didn't see it. So no, I really don't think there was any malice there or any kind of like reactionary or exclusionary stuff. I think people, and again, very important to say, I do not know. I do not know that the Infinity people are the ones who reported ZSA. Like I have no idea. It may well be somebody else completely, right? It's not like, yeah, just to be very clear on that. But whether they did or they didn't doesn't really matter because I get it. I can understand why people were suspicious because I'm really just a guy saying, "Hey, I'm going to do this thing, give me your money." Okay. Which is, to be fair, this is what many crowdfunding campaigns are. But at the same time, I can also understand why people kind of stop and say, wait, no, this is like, the Ergodox is not a brand new thing. There is a community existing here, and there's like various people and all that. Nobody knows you. Like, if you can make this thing, where have you been up until now? Legitimate question. So talking to Jesse about this really helped me see this in a different light and kind of understand the other side as well. So yeah, I'm not feeling aggrieved at all. Like it worked out.